Welcome to Monday's Mental Mistakes. This week we're looking at the hostile media effect. The hostile media effect is the tendency to see news media as biased against us. That is, when we have a strong opinion, media coverage of that issue tends to seem biased against our position. The hostile media effect makes us more likely to see neutral or balanced coverage as biased against us. At the same time, we are unlikely to see reports biased in our favour as unbalanced. Here's a simple example. Consider this 2012 website front page for the New York Times, which is generally considered to be left-leaning or at least neutral. Based only on the headlines here, how hostile to the left-wing position would you consider them? If you felt that the New York Times here was fairly balanced, then congratulations, you suffer from the hostile media effect. Despite appearing as a New York Times page, all of these headlines were actually from the Fox News website of the same day. Take a look. Most of us would consider Fox News to be hostile to the left-wing position, but by presenting their stories as if from the New York Times, they appear far less hostile. In effect, we've removed much of the hostile media effect by switching the context. The expectations that Fox News will not be balanced is partially the result of the hostile media effect. The principal way to counter the hostile media effect is to consume news from a range of sources. All news organisations will have at least some bias, as will every story. So by gathering information from a diverse range of sources, these biases should be somewhat balanced out. Another strategy is to look at other reactions to the same news. If you feel that a story is biased against your position, but that supporters of the opposing position also feel the same way, then it is likely that the article is actually somewhat neutral. Now, neutrality does not necessarily mean factually accurate. That would be an appeal to moderation fallacy. But it does mean less likely to uncritically promote either side. The hostile media effect has been shown to be most prominent when we personally identify with one side of a conflict. For example, the effect is strongest in politics with people who consider their political affiliations as part of their identity. It's also been shown to be slightly stronger with conservatives than liberals, and to be exacerbated by engaging in discussions regularly with like-minded people. Interestingly though, engaging in debate with opponents does not seem to reduce the hostile media effect. Nevertheless, all of us will tend to see the media as unfairly representing our perspective and favouring the other side of the issue. A similar effect occurs in team sports. It is very well documented that fans will perceive the referees as being biased against their team, far more often than being biased in favour of their team. In fact, when fans of opposing teams watch the same match, they often both see the referee as being biased against their own side. This is more than just an emotional bias. In research where fans were asked to count the number of infractions committed by either side, they consistently rated their own team as committing fewer infractions than they actually did, making the referees seem biased. This is not to say that referees are always correct or unbiased, but we are very poor at recognising when they are actually biased against our team. A related phenomenon to the hostile media effect is when an independent arbiter is used to settle a dispute. This ranges from a parent stepping in to resolve an argument amongst siblings, a mediator in a workplace conflict, or a judge in a court of law. In all of these cases, frequently, both parties to the dispute will perceive the arbitrator as biased against them. Our tendency is to see any third party that does not accept our position completely as being biased against us. Thus, any compromise position seems to be biased. In conclusion, the hostile media effect is the tendency to see the news media as hostile to our position. Till next week, may your mental mistakes be minor.